Dr. Miriam Sims thought so little of enslaved African women that he experimented on them. And he experimented on them without anesthesia. And some of our enslaved women had as many as 30 operational procedures. He became the father of what we know today as gynecology. In the 1930s, the American government thought so little of our African American men that they went to Tuskegee and decided that instead of treating them for syphilis, they would experiment on them. And that experiment lasted until the 1960s. In 1960, Dr. Springer, he decided that 88 African American individuals between the ages of 9 and 88 with cancer, lives were not worth 2 cents. And he quadrupled the dose of radiation. He burned them and he maimed them. And that experiment lasted from 1960 to 1971. Well, today, the American government, the CDC, has decided that my son's life and the lives of others like him are not worth it. They knew what they were doing when they sent that shot in the dark to cause this to happen to my son. But you see, here's the difference. When you turn your face away from what's happening in one community, then the greedy decides that it has no respect of person, race, or nationality. And it trickles down to every other race of people. So now what we have is a Holocaust. Our children are being maimed and they're being killed. And you've got a government sitting in Washington, D.C. that doesn't think enough to subpoena Dr. Thompson, who came out and said what they were doing. So what we have to do today is to take back our communities, take back our children. And how do we do that? We walk out of the doctor's offices. We decide, no, we're not going to take that shot in the dark. We take our children out of the school system because the only thing we understand is money. Education is not free. We pay taxes for it. And it's certainly not appropriate. Because once this happens to your child, you can't get services. You got to go fight for an independent educational program. You got to go fight for services. You got to fight with your insurance company. And they still stand there and say, your child is not worth it. Our children are our legacy. That's all we have. And without our children, this country can't stand. So take them out of the schools. Go into your churches and tell them you need to see this movie Vaxxed. And then ask them to open the doors to the connection, the annex building, and allow you to come in and educate your children so you can go to work. We know how to be a community. We know how to do it. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. During the Civil Rights Movement, that beautiful lady, Rosa Parks, she wasn't the first to get arrested, but she was the last because she was a tender, beautiful example of dignity. She was the weakest of them all, and we became enraged. And what did we do? We got off the bus. So I'm asking you to stand with us, stand with the nation of Israel, and get off the bus. We have to get off the bus and let them have their schools, let them have their doctors. Take back our children, take back our culture, and take back our heritage, and let's stand together and do it. This is not about a white child or a black child, a Filipino child or a Hispanic child. This is about our children, all of our children. And when you think in 16 years we're going to have 1 and 2 children that look like my son, that's too much. That's too big of a price to pay. And I'm asking you to stand with us. Stand with the Nation of Islam. Stand with us as Christians. Stand with us as agnostics, atheists, but stand on behalf of our children.